Brian! Get in here, please. I need help. I'm doing this audition for Renara. She wants me to do a British accent. Please, I need your help.
What? Renara wants you to do a British accent?
Yeah.
She wants you to speak like her?
Yeah, just like her.
Well, I don't know how to do one. How do you do a British accent? I swear, I have no idea what you're talking about.
That kind of sounds like Paul McCartney.
Do I sound like Paul McCartney?
A little bit.
Is it a little bit?
A little bit. Little bit.
A little bit. Well, now we sound Cockney, which has absolutely nothing to do with Paul McCartney.
No.
They're from Liverpool.
You know that asshole Dick Van Dyke tried a Cockney accent, and everybody fucking hated it.
Oh, in Mary Poppins, that was a classic movie.
It's fucking disaster.
Dick Van
Fucking
Dyke.
disaster.
Stupid Americans trying to do a British accent. It's the worst thing in the whole fucking world, and I can't stand it. It's terrible.
Terrible.
They really need to learn how to do them correctly. I swear.
Do you have any suggestions?
Yes.
Okay.
Listen.
They need an example that they can really hook into. You know what I mean?
Well, I do like I like to go to McDonald's.
McDonald's.
And when I'm at McDonald's, I order a quarter panda with fries.
Quarter panda.
A quarter panda.
A quarter panda.
Quarter panda with fries.
So if we were to tell the Americans to do this, it sounds a little bit like quarter panda.
Quarter panda.
No,
and
quarter.
Then quarter.
Quarter.
I don't think there's.
You
I don't
must
think there's,
eliminate the T.
But there's no letter that starts with
Right, but sometimes with the British accent, you don't say those inter T's. It's just those.
Oh, okay. So you don't say ease.
Why can't you guys just say quarter pounder with cheese?
Maybe he's right. Maybe we should just leave it to the professionals.
I think you're right. Maybe we should.
You think it's time for the podcast?
Yeah, let's just go.
Let's just go.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Let me go ahead and start this up then.
And I'm realizing now that I didn't put the tag with the music.
Yeah, that's fine. We can fix that in real time, can't we? Well, that was. Well, thank you for putting that together. This week it was Pashley who did the intro. Thank you, Pashley. Thank you, Brian, for being present for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Brian. Yes, thank you, Brian, for putting that together. It was very interesting. It was very entertaining for sure. Eldurrino, you surprised me there, right in the middle. That was awesome. Let's see the elephant that's in the room for those of you that are watching either live here on Twitch or on YouTube. Renara, unfortunately, is out fighting a shark and she is unable to make it with us. We were doing some Sea of Thieves earlier and we lost her off the boat. She's braving the boat and eventually we'll get her back, and much luck to her.
She's still treading water.
Yeah. We'll get her eventually. So, welcome everybody. That was the. I have no words. I have no words. Eldurrino, do you have any words for what we just listened to?
No.
So I love that you because you try to incorporate the theme for this particular week, and we're going to talk about why we picked this theme, because I want to read the email that we got. The letter. Hey, Whitebeard is showing. That we got in order that inspired this particular episode. So shout out to Burnham again. Thank you so much.
It also overlaps because Renara did actually, in fact, ask me to do a read this week with the British accent. So there's a bit of truth to it, but then I wanted to slip in the irony of we're saying Americans are the fucking worst when we're trying to do the accent, and we're actually
100%.
being fucking awful. So.
Right. The irony was that I was doing it the whole time, but
No, it came through, my friend. It came through. I thank you both for it. Yeah, incredibly so.
That was terrible. It's fucking terrible. So
But-
anyway, it just helped that the universe collided. It all worked out perfectly.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
So,
But yeah, thank you for that. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop. Sorry, oh, that was a very imminent stop. I thought it was gonna fade out. So good luck with that. Let's do a quick check-in. Let's see how everybody is. So let's start with Normally I start with Renara. Renara, how you doing? Okay, great.
I'm doing well, thank you.
God damn it! God damn, Brian!
How was your week, Pashley?
Oh gosh, last week was kind of a mix between a shit show and a fire hose to the face. No, my job booked like 4 different schools last week, so
Oh, wow.
I'm in charge of like handling paperwork and emailing people and then the other thing was they wanted a pitch video for because we're trying to reach out to educators on LinkedIn. They're like, hey, do this. And I'm like, yeah, I really want to do it, which I really do want to do it. But then I just didn't do.
Mhm.
Right. My brain went to do. And I'm like, wait a minute. I agreed to do this. And then, but it's good. And we did the Cast and Call Club stream on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And that was learning experience. I actually really do like streaming it because my energy is different. My energy is ramped up when I'm doing it live and I'm in front of people. Giggity. Maybe not giggity. Back that up. Rewind. Okay. But anyway.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. But anyway, so I think I'm going to definitely incorporate that more.
Yeah. I did that like last year, I think, when I started trying to I tried to put together my first demo tape a long time ago, and I did the same thing. I was streaming it. It didn't work effectively because I could not figure out how to get my audio from Ableton to feed through to the stream.
Ooh,
okay.
okay.
It was nice to have like live feedback, and kind of bounce ideas off of people who are watching.
Mhm.
And like you said,
Right.
energy is definitely different when you're kind of performing in front of people, so you can really bring out the emotion in your performance. So I agree. It's really fun and it's really entertaining.
Yeah.
And having like I found out Darkness 24, if you guys don't know her, she's trained in voice acting, but apparently over in Spain there's a very exclusive circle, and it's really hard to break into voice acting over where she is.
Boy,
she
no
had
surprise.
Yeah, so she had some suggestions, but then she also was like, well, maybe I want to try this. So she saved the website, and who knows, maybe she's put some up there. But
yeah.
And all we're doing is
that's
creating more competition for each other. So this is awesome.
Networking.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, and then this guy came down 2 days ago.
Yes, welcome
days
back, Brian. Thank you for joining us today,
Brian!
Brian. Yes, that's right. It's Brian. I forget.
That's the theme. That's the meme.
My dogs, my wife is probably wondering what the hell is going on over here right now. Who's Brian? Why do you keep yelling at him? All right, so and I'll double back a little bit to talk about, because I did get an opportunity to catch into your voice acting stream. So as I've done it too. So but let's check in with Eldurrino. Eldurrino, how was your week, sir?
Busy. In that I had to shovel snow multiple times, and I have to do it again this upcoming week because it's gonna snow even more.
I heard.
So, voice acting, not so much this week. Just been very busy with that and work, and I have dental surgery on Tuesday, so super
I remember
excited.
you mentioned
Damn,
that.
you
Yes.
guys in your dental surgery right now.
Yeah, I have to
Both of them.
get a tooth removed, which is good because it's been broken for about 4 years. But I'm not looking forward to it because I know it's going to incorporate a lot of pain after I come home. So,
Yes.
Fortunately, though, the new season, Destiny 2, starts on Tuesday. And so I'm going to go get my tooth yanked out and come back and be hopped up on drugs. And then I'm going to play a bunch of Destiny. So looking forward to that, kind of.
You're literally
otherwise
high in life.
Yes.
Damn it, Brian.
So this week though, unfortunately, I haven't really had a whole lot of time for auditioning. I wanted to do more, but I don't know. I get really nervous before going to the dentist, like days in advance. So I haven't really had the time to just kind of sit down and get in the zone and do it. So today I just got my audition in and I got the line recorded for Pashley, and that's about all I did. I might do more later, depending. I have some stuff I need to do here after this, but yeah, we'll see. Also, I finished Death Stranding.
Yay!
It was great.
Yay!
Okay. How many potatoes out of 10?
I like your rating system.
I would give it a 9.2.
There's a
2? Yeah.
Here's my question.
That sounds pretty good.
So if you were to convert it to real life, do you think the amount of exercise you take in that movie would probably transition to being like a bodybuilder right now?
Yes. Norman Reedus's body in that game was edited because his natural physique is very skinny. And he specifically asked to be like buffed up a little bit, but with the amount of shit that you do in that game, he should be looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the 70s. No lie. So
it's a lot of walking, right? It's like a
lot of walking, a lot of carrying stuff.
Yeah.
But very, very good game. The only critique I have about it really was once the story's done, it's done. There's basically no reason to go back unless you actually want to 100% the game. That aside, though, story was fantastic. Gameplay, not for everyone. It's I've said this before. It rewards patience and thinking things thoroughly.
Right.
But I enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, I mean, I'm in the same boat. So for me, if I've been complaining about health conditions, they keep going up, they keep going down. I keep having issues. Voice wise, I did do Matt Man's. I had to do some retakes for him, which he's accepted, which is a lot of fun, of course. And I did the audition for this week that we'll get to listen to. So hopefully things will start clearing up. I'll be able to pick up more and start working on getting some more work done. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. I just was not able to get as much as I wanted to.
I'm very excited to hear your part for that, because mine was it was enjoyable, but at the same time, like the character that I had to create the voice for, I don't know how I feel about it. So I was just told to kind of do more of my normal speaking tone. And then I looked at the character and I'm like, that guy should have a different voice. But I did it in the best way that I thought possible. And
Right.
Matt Man seemed to like it a lot. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody's part in it, though.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be a lot of fun to listen to, I think. And this is an original story more from Matt Man. So this isn't based, because the other ones that he's done has been readings from other people that have done in the Darkest Dungeon universe. So this is going to be a lot of fun to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into the particular topic, I did want to talk about doing voice acting on stream. So I know, Pashley, you mentioned already that you did it on Tuesday. How long did you stream for on Tuesday? I'm curious. Before I look up your VOD.
3 hours.
Oh, cool. And you got how?
It rolled over into TikTok. So here's the problem. So I was looking through and I'm like, is this appropriate? Is this project gonna go through? And then there's a lot of chit chat. And I also, talked to Renara a bit about her project.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the other problem with doing it live on stream, especially if you're like me and you can't shut the fuck up. You're talking to chat.
Mm-hmm.
Chat is coming in and doing their commands like Brian, or scaring me in the middle of a take, which is funny. It's entertaining.
Right.
But it's definitely going to slow down the process.
It does.
Yeah.
So like, for example, before we start recording this, I shut down because I have a lot of interaction on my channel. I shut it all down. And it makes this a lot easier, because otherwise, if everything was going off, then this would make no sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lesson learned. Like maybe when I'm doing a take, like mute it or something. I don't know. But, but then I was also figuring out, like, as I was like, I want to do the singing auditions because I think I can get a leg up on other auditioners because of my singing voice.
Yeah.
Loop in with my strengths or lead with my strengths. And so I was like, well, should I send the instrumental? Should I send it with the harmony? And so Dorino was around giving me some feedback about that. And, if you're going to send, here's a good tip. If you're going to send a singing track, just send the voice if you can. If you send an instrumental, you got to be careful with it that it doesn't like overpower the voice, because they want to hear your voice first and foremost.
Yes.
So
Xavier is agreeing with you in chat. Xavier is of course also a voice actor, for those of you that don't know.
What's the theme today? Well, it's eventually we're going to loop around to accents. I have a little bit of experience learning other languages and learning how to speak in other languages, just not like necessarily the British accent.
Yeah, I had for when I did cabaret in high school, I had to speak with a German accent and had to learn the dialect and how to say certain things. And there was actually one of the other actors, one of the kids there, was pretty good with that stuff and kind of helped me. And then in the end, because he was in the show too, speaking a German accent, there was somebody that came up to one of the directors and was like, so the guy that played, I played Erich Schultz in Cabaret. He's like the old Jewish guy. And he basically, they said, so the guy that played Erich Schultz had more of an authentic German accent than I've ever heard in anybody in the whole show. And I was literally just learning it. I just learned how to do it.
Well, there's two things at play here. There's like, I think if you can get with a native speaker of any language, the better off you're going to be. Because a book can explain things, but there's a lot lost. And that is like kind of the audio nuance in the spoken language. And I've said this in weeks before, us over here in the English language have a much easier job going into German, into French, Italian, because those are easier languages to replicate, so to speak.
With the right practice, yes.
With the right practice, but because it's in particular Italian, because there's 5 vowels to deal with and everything is super long with the vowels. And the consonants are basically all the same. So it's really, really easy to reproduce that. But to reproduce English nuance, it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult.
Yeah. So, English is a very difficult language to learn to speak properly.
Well, I think I don't really know how to speak it very well either, but German, I feel like any Anglo-Saxon as opposed to Romance, Anglo-Saxon is a lot harder because I think is this true? Like there's a lot more diphthongs and different sounds.
German's easier because it leans more towards. Sorry, we're like boring you.
No, not at all. You guys wanted already to get right into the topic. Then here we are. That's perfectly fine.
This is the magic of podcasting. So the German is easier than English because it's pretty cut and clear when you see it on the page. That's going to be pronounced. As opposed to when you're reading English, it could be read, or there's like, a million
I
ways
see what
to
you're saying.
You know what I mean? And the practice of pronouncing your vowels it leans closer to the Italian tradition, the Romantic tradition. However, German is a lot easier for English speakers to learn because there's overlap of vocabulary. It
like hallo and hello. That's the same word. Hallo is hello in German.
Yes.
Hallo, H-A, literally spelled like halo. H-A-L-O is hello in German.
No, H-A-L-L-O.
Is it L-L-O?
I think so.
Yeah.
I thought it was one L.
No,
sir.
So before we get too much into it, so like I mentioned before, we got an email from Burnham Wood World. Auditions are going pretty well, and I'm having fun. I've been trying to think of a good topic, a question or two for the show. And by the way, if you do have a good topic or question, please email ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com. That's how we got this particular message, and I shared it with the group. The main one I've come up with is this. What are your collective thoughts on the accents and dialects, other than your own, that you use of your projects and auditions? What are your parameters for deciding what accents/dialects you should or shouldn't use for an audition? And how does that refine the searches for roles? Do any of you study linguistics? Pashley's already answered that one. On an academic level. And would you seek advice from a native speaker of a dialect? It's a complex issue and one I'm trying to
already answered that.
Yeah. So this is why I want to make sure to read the email, because the idea was for me to read the email before we got it. It's quite all right.
I jumped the shark.
It's okay. If you jumped it, can you pick up Renara and put her back up there?
I was gonna say something like that. I didn't know.
Ka-chow. Picking up what I'm putting down.
Again, thank you, Burnham. I absolutely appreciate it. So thank you. So go ahead and feel free to continue. But I mean, for me personally, I've always been terrible. And my rule is, if I don't know how to do it, I will not put it on tape. Plain and simple. Regardless of however good I think I may sound, because I do research it. And generally, there are places that you can look up on the internet in order to find these accents and dialects. But sometimes they're so exaggerated that it's just not worth it for me to even try.
Right.
So I'm going to put something in your chat.
Yeah.
Basically, every language can be broken out into phonetic sounds, right? And one of the first things you learn as an opera singer is what's called the International Phonetic Alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically equalizes the explanation depending on where you go. And it's super helpful because like sometimes like I have books of like the Italian pronunciation, the German pronunciation broken down into phonetics. And it can be extraordinarily helpful to inform how you're going to pronounce something, in particular if you're going to consult a dialect coach. But let me just drop it in here.
No, I double checked to make sure you're a user or a regular, so you won't get my butt. Yeah, you're good.
I vamped there for 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm. You gave me time. Thank you.
Give you time. But no, I think that's a really great place to start and learn that, because any language diction coach will tell you, will give you direction in that language. The International Phonetic Alphabet.
Interesting. So we will make sure to share this on the episode description of either YouTube or anywhere that you can find your podcasts.
Okay.
Yay. Thank you. Put it in here too.
Yay.
What's your take on this one, Eldurrino?
That is a very tough question to answer.
It is.
So I have not had any professional accent or dialect training whatsoever. I will state, though, that in my childhood, I grew up in a larger Hispanic population. Not most, but a good portion of my town and my surrounding community was Hispanic. So I got used to deciphering their accents fairly well, to the point where I could almost mimic it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll actually bring up a small reference too. So a couple weeks ago, I did an audition for a Skyrim mod that focuses around the Khajiit race. And the Khajiit accent is kind of a interesting combination between Spanish, Arabic, and Russian. It's very, very strange, but I've played, like Skyrim and Oblivion a lot, so I had a good idea of what they were going for. So I just threw my hat in the ring and I tried my best. And then listening back to it, I found that the main part of it was very Spanish sounding. Although when I had my girlfriend listen to it as well, just to get her feedback on it, she could definitely hear the Spanish for most of it, but then certain parts sounded like Russian. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for. So for me personally, I just do a lot of it by like listening to certain accents or dialects a lot and then I try to mimic it the best that I can. There was only one other time in which I tried to seek help in that regard. There was an audition that I wanted to try for, but they were looking specifically for a Cockney accent. And my British accent,
Quarter panda, yes,
not very good, because I always end up slipping into Australian instead. And so I went online, I looked up a video from someone who had a natural Cockney accent, and he went over like the breakdown of, here's how you pronounce these letters or this combination of letters, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the verbiage that you use when you are authentic. And I tried it, and I couldn't get the hang of it. At least not within the time frame that I was looking for, because it was only there's only 2 days left on the edition. I was like, this isn't going to be enough time to actually get comfortable with this accent. So in reference to Burnham's message here, I don't like when it comes to auditions. I know what I'm good at or what I practiced enough, and so if I see one that is requesting like Spanish, Russian, Italian, and then maybe some like Central European accents, I will try those just because I feel comfortable enough in doing so. Anything else aside from that, I usually skip over. I try to make mental notes of what I'd like to work on, such as like Cockney accent, but I need to actually find the time to work on those things. So if they're requesting something that I just don't feel comfortable with, I won't go for it, because I feel like it'd be a waste of time for myself as well as the listener. And then
well, and that all falls back into putting your best foot forward, making sure you're making a good first impression, because you never know where you're going to run into these people again, and you don't want to be that guy that did the terrible English accent,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But also,
like even.
Wait, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. There was one that I did last week, or maybe it was this week. I don't remember. No, it was last week. One of them asked for someone to kind of sound like Torbjorn from Overwatch.
Yeah.
And he's Swedish, and so I have never really practiced a Swedish accent before, but I just threw my hat in the ring again, because I've listened to it enough and did my best to replicate the voice by listening to some of like Torbjorn's voice lines prior, and then just trying to mimic it the best I can. And then I just went for it. And I think for the most part it came out pretty well, but I feel like I feel like part of that also comes down to the languages that you've practiced, as well as just who you are, like by blood. Like in my genes, I'm like half Italian, and then the other half is mixed of like German, Swedish, like Cherokee Indian, and so on and so forth. So I feel like that can also kind of play have some influence into what you can achieve, whether you've listened to it before or what you're just naturally good at. And so when I tried that, again, I never really attempted a Swedish accent before, but I gave it a shot, and listening and comparing it to like the natural speaking accent, I feel like it came off fairly decently. But you definitely want to, if you actually find a role that you want to go for, or that you've already been cast for, whatever the case may be, and you want to perfect that, definitely seek out a native speaker. Like you're not going to find anyone better in that regard. It's like you wouldn't go to a pastry chef if you wanted to learn how to play piano. Like go to a piano teacher if you want to learn how to play piano.
Right.
So yeah, I'll stop now.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Thank you so much for sharing. Pashley, you had a point.
I was going to say, like, and a lot of it, you got to do it a little bit at a time. You got to build it over time, and don't try to learn it like the day of. Be like, shit, I got this thing to do same day. It doesn't really work that way with languages, and especially the older you get, the more closed off the brain is and the less receptive it is. So kind of do that. What do you guys think? Like, you kind of do your own character analysis. It's like, these are the kinds of characters I do. And do you guys feel like you should put in some personal work into like these accents, so to speak? Like my voice might lend itself to British roles, so I got to get my ass in gear and learn how to speak that way. Do you think that's worth, like, if you're going to take this seriously?
I like Eldurrino's point of making a mental note of what you want to improve on for later.
Right.
So that's definitely I mean, for like, for example, for me, I'm terrible at accents. I really don't use accents. Pardon me. I don't know if I'm not gonna be able to do anything about those guys, so I apologize. So when it comes to accents, and it's funny because I'm actually Hispanic and I'm a native Spanish speaker, but I can't do a Spanish accent at all.
And like a Spanish speaking or like an English speaking
Yes.
Spanish accent.
Correct. So
that's an entirely different animal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
right.
so a native Spanish speaker trying to speak English, I can't do that accent. I try it and it turns Irish, and that's a quote from my wife. And it's funny because it's one of the first things that somebody tried to pay me to do, and I ended up doing it for free because I felt bad. Is a teacher in Iran wanted somebody with a slight Spanish accent to do this whole thing about like Teotihuacan and all this Central America stuff, and it's just I tried it and I sent it over, and literally his feedback was like, "You sound Arabic. Just do it in an English accent, or just do it in regular English." I said, "Okay." So I just I didn't charge him for it and anything else. So I mean, this is about being careful about what you put out there because, you know, I want to make sure that my best product is always out there as best as I can. So,
yeah. And that's very interesting that you make that point too, because I one of my friends growing up, Alan, he was like full-blooded Mexican, but anytime he spoke English, there was no trace of an accent ever. But when he switched to Spanish, like the accent was there completely, and then he tried to put on like the Spanish speaking English accent, and it just never came out. And I find that very interesting about people. It's like I don't know how to put it, but in regards to what you were talking about, Pashley, though, I feel like are you talking more about like national accents, or are you just talking about like inventing your own dialect?
I mean, it could be a little bit of both, but I feel like with anything you do in craft, so to speak, there has to be time set aside to practice it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess that's what I would implore, to don't like just pick it up and throw it on, so to speak. Like really take the time. And I also I posted the International Phonetic Alphabet because those letters can guide you. Like say you got your script and you've been given like coaching or direction from a director, you can write that stuff in. And then you're spending time with the words. I mean, I have to do that with my opera scores, with the French, with the Italian, and with the German all the time, and really speaking these things slowly. Because the more natural it becomes, it kind of leads into another point I was about to make, and this kind of calls back. We were talking about like doing a certain pitch of voice or putting a color on, and how it would get in the way of the acting. You want to make sure you're at a mastery with it so that the acting can just come through.
Very true. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And oh, go ahead.
No, it's just like when I try to over deepen my voice and anything else, it always comes out very monotone. It's got no energy behind it. It's the same concept when it comes to when you're trying to overdo an accent.
Yeah. Right. And I use this a lot, but like my characters that I have worked on for like Grand Theft Auto roleplay are all very varied.
There's that word.
So, like I have my like Southern accent that I do that isn't like fully Southern. It's not like a solid Southern drawl, but
like the one you put on, like when you sent me the line, you're like, why can't you say quarter pounder with cheese?
Quarter pounder with cheese.
Quarter pounder.
That's something I worked on because I didn't want it to be a full Southern drawl. I wanted it to be a mixture almost of Southern mixed with Midwestern, because I am from the Midwest, so I can speak very Midwestern all the time, and so
don't you know?
So I worked on that a lot for this character specifically. Like I even went
Oh
I
my
even
gosh.
went back and listened to or watched some of the clips that I had from my early roleplay days, and like the voice for that character evolved immensely. Like before, I almost gave him like a weird, like teeth lisp, where he would pronounce his H's with more like harshness, you know.
Oh.
And it sounded very obtuse, I guess. So I decided to dump that. But yeah, like the character evolved quite a bit as far as like the speaking voice. But and most of that came down just from being comfortable with the voice that I was trying to put on. And the same goes for like all the other characters that I'm familiar with. Like I have an alien that I play that alternates a lot between like a kind of a high pitched voice and then dropping down to like a low growl. That I just had to, that I just worked on over and over and over until I found something that worked very well and sounded almost creepy in a sense, like without being overbearing, because I didn't like the character itself is not meant to be like super creepy. It's supposed to be inviting, but at the same time has the opportunity to be very disturbing. And then I also have like a one that has more of a like a New Yorker accent, with what Petunia Fraggle Rock,
New York.
New York.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is when you, if I was thinking about this, like in Boston, if you were to say it with like a Southie accent, quarter pounder, it would almost sound Cockney. Also, it's like,
No, it's
quarter-
the closest
quarter pounder.
relation.
What a
It's
panda.
the closest relation. The British accent and the New England accent are actually very, very close.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry to keep going.
Oh, you're fine.
It's my school
So-
life.
What I would say is if you're looking to work on an accent, whether it be something that you're trying to replicate, such as, you know, like a different language, but speaking English, you know, Italian, French, Spanish, whatever, or you are trying to invent your own, record yourself. You know, come up with some lines that you want to do or freestyle it on the spot, whatever you think would work best. And then just record yourself over and over and over and listen back to it and be very critical about the voice. Like point out the things that you think you're doing well at, point out the things that you need to improve on. Because the only way that you're ever going to improve is by analyzing what you're doing. The same thing would go for you know, like music playing or singing. Like you don't necessarily have to listen to it yourself, just because like your ear might not be trained for that fully yet. But when it comes to voice acting, is if you know what exactly you want to do, you can analyze your own material without any issue. And that, like I said, that's what I did for my own characters. I focused very heavily on what I was doing wrong and what I was doing well, and then I just simply worked on it. So record yourself, listen back to it, take notes about what you need to improve on.
And in general, that's actually really good practice when it comes to voice acting, because you do have to develop that critical ear. Most of the time, you're not going to have a girlfriend or somebody to be able to listen into your audition. You have to be able to identify your own issues. And I've mentioned before, if you're trying to imitate something, I'm going to talk about that in just a second. I know you're laughing over there. I see the comments. But when it comes to trying to build either a voice match or, that's this guy. Either a voice match or a particular dialect, recording and re-listening back, or even putting the two side by side and listening to them at the same time and see how close you are is also very helpful. CJ Roth in the chat said, I would be offended about that New York accent, but it was spot on.
New York?
New York? Oh my gosh. So you all are great.
People tell me I always have a New Jersey accent because I'm from like northern New Jersey, which is close to like the Manhattan area where they would really talk, really talk that way and be very, but I don't know. I don't feel like I say coffee sometimes, really by accident, like that coffee.
Oh,
Coffee.
Or dog.
like a core,
core?
Gonna go hop in the core.
Core?
Sorry, my girlfriend's family is
gosh,
from New York, all of them, and so every time I go there, that's all I hear.
But then on the inverse of that, like is like the New England accent, and you're like, "What? Can we go get the cat? Can we go pack it?" But depending on how far north, it's dramatically different between Boston and Portland, Maine. Portland, Maine.
Portland. Like
Portland.
you ever
There's
see?
gotta be like a little and then my grandfather, rest in peace, used to say Washington.
Washington, nice.
Grandmother,
where the hell that came from?
Wars, like WAS is wars. Like I was there. Like where? Do you know where he wars? Like something like that. Like I don't understand that. But anyway, no. Like Matt. Like if you've ever seen Good Will Hunting, like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in Good Will Hunting.
Matt Damon. Sorry.
And, like people from Southie, they would talk, that how do you like them apples? Like he doesn't normally talk like that, but they're originally from Boston, and they wrote the script for Good Will Hunting in the sense that they wanted the characters.
Robin Williams absolutely fucking nailed it. Like he can't be full because like they're both from Southie.
Right.
Well, no, but he has into detail,
right,
where he's not fully Matt Damon's level of like blasting, like, but he's an educated guy, and it's kind of gone through some evolution, right? So even socioeconomic status or education status can inform that stuff immensely, and that's kind of at your decision, your discretion.
That's what makes that script so incredible.
That's why they won an Oscar.
I know.
They won an Oscar for.
So just to make sure that we cover Burnham's particular questions, so general thoughts and dialects other than your own. I mean, we're all very selective. We all know what we can do, so that's super important. Don't overextend. Practice before you submit any of that stuff. Is that where we're all at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Seek the help of native speakers.
100%. So you guys mentioned. I know I've looked up in YouTube. And I know there's like a voice bank that I need to find the exact link for that'll talk about all of those dialects and all those sounds that'll help you when you're selecting or you're looking for a role for a character. So I have some homework on that one, and I'll share as soon as I find it.
Cool.
Make sure that we have everything else. So other than Pashley, I think I have no absolute anything when it comes to linguistics or anything else. Eldurrino, I think you're also self-taught, other than whatever your regional area is, correct?
I mean, I took Spanish for 4 years during high school, but aside from that, no, I don't have any like professional dialect training.
Yeah, and I think starting out, it's fine for you to just to be able to work. I mean, as you build your repertoire, as you build everything else, if you've got the ability to expand, please go for it. But stick to what you can. Find your niche. That's the most important. Your niche. That's the most important thing at the beginning. Stick to it and try to go with those roles. Is my opinion.
Yeah, it's better to be really good at one to a few things than to be mediocre at many things, especially in this industry.
I feel personally attacked.
You know what's really, so this might not be, I mean, it's somewhat, it kind of is on topic because it also goes with practicing and focusing on that and being accent. But if you look up on YouTube, if you've ever heard of the impression guys, and they literally have the most unbelievable ability to impersonate hundreds of celebrities. There's one guy, he was on like Parks and Recreation. He was in a couple TV shows as well. He's an actor, regular actor, but he's a gray haired guy, and I forget his name, Jim something. But he does like
Jim Cummings?
Jim something. I said Jim something, I think it is. But he they're all three, there's like three of them on their YouTube channel, but they do the most incredible impressions. And you can tell that they've spent time and energy just researching how each celebrity talks, how they, the one guy does like a spot, like you would never believe it. A guy does a Brad Pitt. I don't even know how to impersonate Brad Pitt. How do you impersonate Brad Pitt? But he does it. Like if you heard him, you would think Brad Pitt was talking. There's nothing like, you know what I mean? There's nothing like specifically memorable. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you do a Christopher Walken, to do this, like you can hear it. But like if you think of Brad Pitt, there's like nothing that comes to mind. Be like, what does Brad Pitt do specifically? But
right.
For some reason, they nail it.
Or like William Shatner too is one of those.
Right, William Shatner. You just have to like, oh my God. Like, just have emphasis
on the most
punctuation anywhere.
Yeah. No, it's punctuation everywhere.
Yeah,
punctuation
everywhere, 100%. So those individuals that you're talking about, Pashley, those are the vocal chameleons, and if you can do that, more power to you. I mean, you've probably been practicing a lot in order to be able to pull that off. So your niche is so much bigger than, and like an old guy that can only do older voices or anything to that effect. But yeah, very, very cool. So we're bringing back the audition. So I want to make sure that we get to this. So anybody have any last points on dialects before we move on?
Did we cover everything in his
Be cultured, dude.
email here?
I think so.
Oh, I do want to say one last thing on it.
Yes, please.
So he says that that Burnham said that he is Scottish, but he's living in the U.S. and that most of his auditions seem to be geared towards like Vikings or dwarves, which is fine. Like that's really great.
That's the association.
Yes, I will say that getting the natural English speaking accent down is probably harder than the other way around, going from English to something else. But don't ever give up on it, because you will be surprised how much work you can land if you can nail that down. So yeah, don't ever give up.
Well, and
I wanted to, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you've got a lot of Tolkien stuff that's come up. Vikings has become very, very popular again. So it's like the trends cycle a lot when it comes to voice stuff. So if that's your niche, great. Start branching out a little bit, but keep that going, because there's not a big pool for them, and just keep at it.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the best types of way to learn a dialect is you find, and I'm sure you can look them up, but like from professionals, they usually are going to make up or create a phrase that encapsulates a majority of the type of pronunciations or diphthongs or whatever type of sounds that come out, or how the sounds are pronounced on that accent or dialect, and you repeat that phrase, which is why I know it's really funny that we make you mentioning it, but quarter panda is actually a great way to do it. Like literally the way it works is it's spelled CORTA space PANDA, and people are like, I don't know how to speak Cockney accents, whatever, but you say that and you say it enough, like quarter panda, and like like you get rid of the T part and you say quarter panda.
That's like breaking it down phonetically for your eye to understand as close as you can.
Right.
Yeah. Writing it out that way. And
you repeat that phrase more often, and then you start recognizing those certain vowel sounds in other words, excuse me, in other words or other parts of dialect. And then that's how you kind of train yourself. And the second thing I wanted to say was somebody who I know must have used that technique. I mean, like Hugh Laurie. If you think about this guy,
this fucking guy,
he is British and has been playing for 10 years, an American doctor. I had no idea that he was British.
There's what is it? It's an HBO show, right? That he just did. What? It's an HBO show that he did, and he was like the captain of
House.
No. So in addition to that, because he's great in House, but he has another show. I'm gonna have to look it up. He's like the captain of the sailboat, the boat that's in ship, the spaceship. Yeah, spaceship, cruise ship. Thank you, Doozy. Where he's playing an American captain, Avenue 5. That's it. And in private, he's this English speaking complete, like, because he's a phony, and it's just the whole concept. So that explains why he can do that particular accent so well, because he's naturally English.
Right.
So
yeah. He was actually on a Friends episode. He was on a Friends episode playing a regular British guy. So I never noticed that. He was actually on a Friends episode. He played an extra, kind of a B-roll in a plane. But anyway, people like that, they've literally studied their craft. And
absolutely.
I always find that like almost jarring in a sense. For instance, Daniel Radcliffe watched all the Harry Potter films multiple times. All you hear is his natural British accent. About a month ago or so, I watched Guns Akimbo, where he's playing an American, and he pulls off an American accent very well. Really? And it was like, who the fuck is this guy? It was so like just I don't know, out of this world, and it was very, I don't know, just jarring, like I said.
Yeah, when it's pulled off, it is so well. And yeah, you're right. It is 100% jarring because you hear all of these actors, and all of a sudden, when you hear, because in their natural, comfortable voice, and you hear these accents, it's like, whoa, where did that come from?
Right.
Yeah, it's
it's Daniel Day-Lewis is another one.
Well, I mean, method actors don't even get started with that. When you do with method actors, not only they'll do the dialect, they'll act like that in private with their wife or husband or spouse.
That's what they say.
Yeah,
like he said.
Yeah,
I know. I do that with my girlfriend. I just randomly pop on voices for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, they go nuts.
Yeah, my wife already thinks she's insane. Oh yeah,
do not make any assumptions, Pashley. I know that look. You're making assumptions. Stop it.
Do you know what happens when you assume?
Make an ass of you and me.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that you would have said something else to ruin the joke, but you didn't.
Yeah. And this is how we know that they're together. All right.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway, I want to make sure that we get to our auditions because I think it's very important for us because it helps us to develop as we go. So yeah. I'm actually going to pick on our resident shark surfer since she is not in today. I'm trying to make sure that I've got her particular.
It's got like
lines.
a wicked shack in there. You know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
You know that. It's like a wicked shack.
You're gonna get charged.
Listen to me.
You know that.
Are you or are you not a knock?
A knock. Are you telling me you's a cop? A cop?
I love that movie.
I don't know what happens when you assume, but you're confidently asserting that I do. Thank you, Doozy, for putting that in there. Link in chat right now. This is the Crestborn. This is actually a paid audition that is going on right now. Renara put in a couple of them, so this is what we're going to play first. So if you want to open the link and bring up the character descriptions.
And Liddy's going to cook.
Yeah. Thank you, Liddy, for stopping in. I appreciate that.
Brian!
Brian!
Did someone say my name?
Who the hell's Brian? My name is John.
Bye, Brian. Thanks for sticking around.
He says bye. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, man. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
We're going to listen to Eleanor first. For those of you that actually went into the link. Character description should be up on there. Looks like 17 to 20 years old. Standard American is preferred, but not compulsory. So let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1.
I don't care if he's a regent. If he treats you like garbage, I'll burn him to a crisp. I don't care if he's a regent. If he treats you like garbage, I'll burn him to a crisp.
Long pause. Oh no, that's it. Okay.
Oh.
I was expecting that he deserved it, but that's fine. So
that's probably the second file that she sent.
Oh, let's see what that is. Oh, yep. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, he deserved it. He messed with my friend, so I shot a fireball up his tunic. Hey, he deserved it. He messed with my friend, so I shot a fireball up his tunic.
Oh. Let me tell you, I think Ren Nail deserved it on that second clip because my gosh, I got surprised when I heard it.
She definitely has a good grasp over the hard R in the American accent. So that was interesting. I was not expecting her to submit an audition that has both American and British. So that's really neat.
And that's good because I'm looking at the character sheet. The accent is standard American is preferred, but not compulsory. You may audition with any accent you choose. So I liked actually the British accent take more because I did feel like they were more comfortable to her. I felt on the first takes that there was a lot of fighting your accent as you're trying to act it out, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of separation between certain words, especially after the R's. Like I could tell when she said, "I don't care," pause, if he's a regent, whereas as the other one was very fluid. So, and like you said, it's probably just fighting that natural accent and kind of like hitting that wall. Like, did I say that right? Okay, I did. Let's go.
Gotcha.
I think to take it another step up, I mean, she's probably already submitted it, but there's kind of like, I don't want to say a franticness, but just kind of like an energy through. She has like Renara always lands this demure, witchy, fully in control of what she's about to say next. Like that's the first thing I think of when I hear her. But I feel like with this character, like there's fieriness to her. You know, it's like it should be at any point she is going to go off the deep end. You know, and there's a certain calm to the audition that I don't know that I hear it that way. I'm trying to be careful about how I'm saying things, but
I
kind of want to hear more of like a. And I'm also seeing an anime girl here, and I'm kind of wondering about pitch, and I don't know why I associate like a higher pitch voice with this stuff. Maybe that's something you guys could
common.
like.
Yeah, it is actually very common when it comes to these.
So it's like, I don't care if he's a regent. Like, okay, that's a bad example, but you know what I mean? This goes up in pitch. So I don't know.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. Like standard like English dub in anime is pretty high pitched. Although there is a number of exceptions to that. Like you'll run across female characters that are a lot lower pitched. I do agree that it was pretty calm. Like the character, being a mage that specializes in fire magic is supposed to be, no pun intended, hot-headed, and is supposed to have a temper to her.
And unpredictability.
Right.
That even she doesn't even know what's about to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I feel like maybe, like, especially that first line, it was meant to be more of a warning, like a bit more grit or anger to that, I think would have really helped bring that line to life. The second one, I think she did pretty well on, because that line was to be happy. So she did sound very like satisfied with, I shot a fireball up his tunic. So I think she got that one really well. But yeah, I would have definitely liked to hear a bit more feistiness in the first one.
And this is why character description is absolutely so important, because it mentions it despite her fiery temper. So there's a hint that is in there. She's extremely loyal to friends and goes to great lengths to protect them on the battlefield. So, yeah, great notes, I think. Yeah. Excellent. Ren, hopefully that helps you out.
If you're out there.
Oh my God.
God.
Pashley, the one that you did, is there?
I'm getting it right now.
Okay.
I think you posted it, right?
I posted it, but the character description would be very helpful.
Right.
My auditions. So this is the Josh the Octoling. I liked this audition because my son loves Splatoon.
Oh, right.
So that's where I was hoping to go with that. Because I've played the game a bunch of times, and also the other box was checked off. It's a singing audition. The character's name is Victoria. Let me scroll down. Victoria is the main antagonist of the series. This makes her the main adversary of Josh. She's trying to do everything in her power to make Josh lose a tournament they're both in. Right. So there's always, it's kind of a brattiness to her. But anyway, there you go. So then there's there's a voice reference in there.
Oh, you sound surprised.
Oof.
Whoops.
Okay.
Well, now I know.
and it's nice because some people actually do put these in. So for those of you that are actually trying out, if we've mentioned it before, if the project manager or the director has something in mind and they put a reference, try to match it, but don't be afraid to deviate, because they may hear something that they're not expecting that'll work well. Right.
So, and then in this, so when I uploaded my one, I uploaded the entire song because they said sing any song you like. I'm kind of wondering if I should have cut it down to a verse and a chorus, but I don't know.
So when it comes to singing auditions, that the main focus is supposed to be on the acting portion. 15 to 20 seconds is sufficient.
Okay. Noted. But, anyway, but for the purposes of the podcast, I only sent the lines
Perfect.
to us.
That's fine.
So.
Because hopefully, and you've got a wonderful voice. Hopefully, we'll have an opportunity to hear that in one of the future ones. I will also note that when it comes to auditions in general, I tend to recommend leaving them wanting more, because then they'll contact you and you'll get at the very least you'll get some feedback possibly. So.
And I'm also wondering, like, if you don't choose a song that kind of represents the character a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So something a little more pop, a little more feisty would be really good, like a Katy Perry's Roar, something like that. I don't know. These are things I'm paying attention to now that I wish I'd thought of, but
and these things happen. And just to go back, so in that 3+ hours, you got how many auditions done? 2. Gotcha.
Well,
but there was like a half an hour of speaking with Renara, reading those lines, deciding I wanted to do a little more practice with them before, and then there was another half an hour of TikTok.
Not to mention the many distractions I'm sure that chat helped you out with.
Absolutely. Shout out to your chat. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
I'm Victoria, for your information, and you are Josh, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I have my sources, but for now, let's talk about you. A ruse. You don't know anything about me. I'm a mystery. It's complicated. I don't want you to get involved in it any more than you already are.
Okay. So my first note would be on those ... Make sure you give it just a little bit more time. And you are Josh. Okay. I have my sources. Just give that pause a little bit more, in my opinion. Okay. I love the voice. I know that obviously you pitched up your voice a little bit to try to sound a little younger.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The chat gave that feedback. They're like, she should sound younger. So this will kind of segue a little bit. Like, the people giving you feedback can be helpful. So get ears on your work. Not too many ears, but trusted ears on your work.
Yes, trusted ears is important. Let me formulate another one, Eldurrino, if you got anything.
So based on the character description, it says that she comes off as bossy, deceptive, short-tempered, and even somewhat mean or rude to pretty much everybody except for her dad and Sophia. I think you could have pulled that off better, personally.
Okay.
I think the second one was good because she is talking to Sophia and she is clearly showing concern without wanting to reveal her plan in the, I don't want you to get involved more than you already are. The first one, she's introducing herself to this guy. She already knows his name. And so she, is almost meant to have that sass behind her. So, one of the important things that we've talked about this before is when you are recording lines, smile. Like, a lot of energy to it. And I feel like in the, I have my sources. Like, I feel like if you just smile a little bit on there, and that would have really brought it out. And then, but for now, let's talk about you, like getting that emotion in there really helps bring out the deliverance. I feel like if you keep the smiling thing in mind and you go and re-record it, that entire section will sound like infinitely better. So, and I also agree with Zamoody. A little bit more pause on the ...
Ellipses.
Sometimes, sometimes it's when people write it out, it's almost misplaced, and so like even in my own auditions, I tend to make that pause very brief. And so like with and you are Josh, I don't even know if I would put a pause in there personally. I would almost elongate the you portion and not like Soldier Boy. I'm talking like,
it's your boy.
You are Josh. or like, and you are Josh, so that's how I would see it anyways. But yeah, I think if there was a little bit more sass to it, I feel like that first line could have been really good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be afraid.
It wasn't good. It was good, but
to stretch out the U and R just to show that, and you are Josh.
So kind of playing with tempo with the phrasing. Like there's ebbs and flows. Like it goes faster at points, it slows down at some points, and
yeah.
I think it could be a good exercise to kind of say the lines and play with the pacing in a way. Like, I'm Victoria for you. Yeah, go ahead.
Don't be afraid also to kind of throw a bit of personality into it. Like, with the like, oh, I have my sources. It could have been a really interesting take to throw like a little giggle or chuckle in there. Like, oh, I have my sources, something like that.
And those are the things that might be able to set you apart from everybody else is and I think you'll hear, I know I threw a couple of those when it comes to Jinx, and we'll hear those in just a moment. The breathing you can use when it comes to your acting, and you can also use the laughing or just the general like gestures or motions that can come through in your voice. So I think those are important as well.
Yeah, it was interesting because like Darkness told me don't move your hands too much. Which I'm like,
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that either.
Because I move my hands all the time. I mean, clearly.
When I was doing training for sales calls, they're like, if you're moving, and they tell you like get up and walk around. Obviously, that doesn't apply to voice acting. But if you're on the phone and you're walking around, your energy's up, and I don't know.
No,
go to YouTube and look at people recording in a booth. Specifically, I'm thinking of the guy that does Pinky. I'm trying to remember his name, and I'll look it up here in a second. But you'll see them. They are right in front of the microphone, and they're gesturing and moving, and it comes through when they're doing their voices.
When it comes to recording for like maybe like an infomercial or some type of like storytelling thing, you may not want to move as much because you want to have that more like
calm,
clear and calm tone. Yes, but in auditions where you are meant to express more emotion, doing hand gestures, moving around a little bit is encouraged. Like you see it from professionals all the time. I personally use it. I'm sure Zamoody does it as well. Like it helps bring out that emotion. So don't ever be afraid to do that.
The name is Rob Paulson. Rob Paulson is Pinky.
Yes. He also does Carl Weezer.
Interesting.
Very cool. I think we covered it. By the way, Jim Cummings, because you mentioned him earlier, that's the voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Yep. And he does the hyena, one of the hyenas.
Oh,
and he was called upon to finish Be Prepared because Jeremy Irons' voice gave out. So he had to copy Jeremy Irons. Basically, he's done a bunch of other stuff too. That guy is an absolute fucking chameleon. He's genius. So
very cool. Let me bring up Jinx so everybody in chat can follow along. So this was actually
in the Crestborn.
No, this was actually the what is it called? The Big Paws, Big and Little Paws.
This is the one you wanted.
Yeah, this is the one you wanted. And then apparently all of the female roles got like taken out all at once.
There's one.
Well, and then we come to find out there's actually one. So that's the call sheet that we're going to be doing. The character is Jinx. Interestingly enough, all that they said was character has a deep and scratchy voice, and the example that they gave was Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. There's been like 4 different versions of Sephiroth.
Yeah, that's what I struggled with that too, because like I immediately when I searched Sephiroth, I got the remake, Final Fantasy VII, and so I listened to that voice and I was like, okay, that's not really. It's deep, but it's not scratchy. I mean, there's a little bit of grit to it, but not a whole lot. And then I went back and I listened to like Kingdom Hearts Sephiroth. A bit more scratchy, but not raspy necessarily. So I don't know. I kind of just
did my own thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I made it deep. I put in some emotion. I tried to add a little bit of scratchiness or like grit to it, just because the character's image is like a cat that has been through some shit. You know, like he's
Mhm.
missing an eye, he's missing part of his ear.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing I do want to note is that there's they wanted 3 takes of each line. So these are going to be a little on the longer side. So, Eldurrino, we're going to start with you, if that's okay.
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, now look what you did. You dumped everything all over the place. Now look what you did. You dumped everything all over the place. Oh, now look what you did. You dumped everything all over the place. I used to have an owner. They brought me home for a human event called Halloween. And a few weeks later, they didn't want me anymore. So they threw me out with no way to defend myself. I used to have an owner. They brought me home for a human event called Halloween. And a few weeks later, they didn't want me anymore. So they threw me out with no way to defend myself. I used to have an owner. They brought me home for a human event called Halloween. And a few weeks later, they didn't want me anymore. So they threw me out with no way to defend myself. There's no way someone would want me now. I've lost an eye and most of an ear. Everyone just wants a cat or dog that looks normal. There's no way someone would want me now. I've lost an eye and most of an ear. Everyone just wants a cat or dog that looks normal. There's no way someone would want me now. I've lost an eye and most of an ear. Everyone just wants a cat or dog that looks normal.
Okay. First thing I want to say is because we just mentioned it when it comes to using your breath to act. I heard that shaky breath that you took on that last one. I think it was the first take of the third line, and I thought that was excellent.
Thank you.
So I don't know if that was intentional or if it just came out at the moment, but I heard it and it sounded great in my opinion.
It was just kind of rolling with it. I mean, before I got in the booth, I looked at the lines, thought about how they could be delivered, and then I just wrote it on a notepad, like, here's how I want the first one done, second and third.
Good.
And so, like, for that one in particular, I had, for that line, I had sad, angry, and then on the verge of crying. So so that shakiness in there, you know, is kind of like him almost giving up or like just saying like everyone just wants a cat or dog that looks normal,
Right.
you know.
Good. The other thing I do want to point out is I love that you in every one of your takes you emphasized a different word, and that's generally what's encouraged when it comes to doing multiple takes. You don't want to do the same thing 3 times. You want to deliver the lines just slightly different with the emphasis in a different word.
And you follow the directions.
Yes, and super important, 100%. Yeah, got to follow them directions.
Please add more emotion, but it's not monotone like Sephiroth.
Right. Yeah, because the later iterations of Sephiroth very monotone, which is really only seen in his like cutscene lines. When it comes to his fighting, I mean, there's a lot more emotion there. But yeah, like he's meant to have more of a stance of power, and so he doesn't need that emotion necessarily. So I don't know. Like I said, I think what they were going for in that was like they want someone who has a deep voice, who kind of has a bit more grit to it or raspiness in a sense, to show that the character has, you know, been out on his own for quite some time and has been through lots of scuffles and fights and stuff like that. So I just decided to go with that.
Okay. Very cool.
See?
All right. Now it's my turn.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Look what you did. You dumped everything all over the place. Oh, now. Look what you did. You dumped everything all over the place. Oh, now, look what you did. You dumped everything all over the place. I used to have an owner. They brought me home for a human event called Halloween. And a few weeks later, they didn't want me anymore, so they threw me out with no way to defend myself. I used to have an owner. They brought me home for a human event called Halloween. And a few weeks later, they didn't want me anymore. So they threw me out with no way to defend myself. I used to have an owner. They brought me home for a human event called Halloween, and a few weeks later, they didn't want me anymore. So they threw me out with no way to defend myself. There's no way someone would want me now. I've lost an eye, most of an ear. Everyone just wants a cat or dog that looks normal. There's no way someone would want me now. I've lost an eye and most of an ear. Everyone just wants a cat or dog that looks normal. There's no way someone would want me now. I've lost an eye and most of an ear. Everyone just wants a cat or dog that looks normal.
That's it for that.
Jeremy Irons, is that you? I got some serious Scar vibes there, so that was awesome.
Funny, it's now listening back to it, I get more Vegeta than anything else in my ear.
Vegeta,
Yeah.
I could see that for sure. Fucking Vegeta. I
Fucking Dragon Ball Z.
yeah. What was it? I liked the emphasis on like everything. I feel like, you know, I used to have an owner. They brought me home. You know, I love that about your voice. It's very impactful. I feel like the second line was a little rushed in certain spots. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, just because like it can show like you're being frantic or emotional. I would like to hear like one take of it being slowed down just a little bit, you know, just because I feel like I feel like the first half of that second line is just kind of like an explanation, and then he transitions more into being emotional. But I mean, again, that's just my take on it. Otherwise, no, I thought the other ones were very well done.
Yeah, it was interesting because yours resembles kind of like an older take, and I was like, I kind of like that, but then I'm looking at the call, and it's like they want like a young adult, but it just seems interesting. We're getting into a philosophical thing. How does it feel to be expendable in a young age, or how does it feel expendable at an old age? You know what I mean? Because there's that desperation, that loss of hope in the character. So I don't know, man. I like them both equally for different reasons, like apples and oranges.
Right. And that's the thing. So two actors can look at the same sheet and just come up with two completely different characters.
Right.
If a director here's a question for you. If the director said, "Well, you sound too old. Can you read it with a younger voice?"
I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it. Okay.
Plain and simple. Anybody who asks you to change your voice to something that you're not comfortable doing is asking for trouble. Plain and simple. Because I don't know if I'm going to be able to maintain that, and I'm going to want to go back to my natural voice very quickly.
Right.
Those puppers.
Yeah, I muted my mic just as soon as I stopped talking because of the dogs behind me.
No, I think like I know that the role asked for a young adult, but personally, I think the like Vegeta sounding voice actually fits that character more, just because like when I think of like characters that have been through like a war-torn battlefield, or they've been in a lot of traumatic moments in their life, I think of that type of voice, something that's more raspy or growly, something that actually shows the amount of stuff that they've been through. So personally, I think your voice would fit that role better, even though they requested more of a younger voice. But that's really subjective,
Of course.
because like they wanted a deep voice, but they wanted to be a young adult. Young adults generally don't have a deeper voice. So
Yeah, that's what's interesting to me, and I think someone older would have more life behind them. Well, I mean, obviously they would have more life behind them. So I think for my own ear, like I was literally seeing the male version of Grisabella from Cats in this character. You know, like they just want attention, they want love, and
What is love? No, baby, don't hurt me.
Baby, don't hurt me.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
more.
Well, thank you guys. That was definitely helpful for me, so I appreciate the feedback. Let me go ahead and do something here real quick. I apologize.
apology accepted.
There we go. So I think we've covered a lot today. So we've gone through dialects. We've talked about a little bit on the recording live with an audience. I did want to mention on that particular one, I've done 2 sessions of one. One was actually doing when I did my demo, writing my demo, putting it all together. I had my chat behind me listening to it and giving me feedback as it went. So I thought it was great. I love the idea. I know we know a mutual friend, Teeny Giant, who loves doing it in front of people, and she does such a great job about it.
She really does.
Yeah.
Nice.
Eldurrino, generally your experience because you mentioned you did it with a live audience.
It was only one time. It was when I was very, very green. So, but I mean, it definitely does help. Just getting like any type of live direction or live feedback can help you think about things a lot more clearly, especially when it comes to getting in the booth and doing auditions on your own.
So we'll keep looking for next week. I like we're bringing back the auditions. I appreciate the feedback as always. I'm sure that you guys will definitely not put in, but you'll use some of the advice that we're giving you. So I want to see that back again.
Certainly try.
Yeah, and hopefully Ren will be done fighting her shark.
Right. Get out of there.
Oh, until then, I will say thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate you guys either being here live on Twitch, if not watching us on YouTube, or anywhere where you can get your podcasts for Cold Read. If you have any questions or topics or ideas for us, please email us, coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com. We will definitely try, because I know, Eldurrino, you've got your surgery on Tuesday, so hopefully we'll get you here. If not, we will ask you to provide a picture like you did for Renara.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will gladly fabricate a story about myself and then put a headstone in place or something like that.
Beautiful. I love that idea. Oh my gosh.
Other opportunities for creativity.
Yep. I can't help it. I love doing that. It's fun. I love Photoshop.
You're not the only one.
Yes. So on behalf of Renara Hawke, wherever you are, PrincessPashley, and the road to Eldurrino, thank you so much for everybody. Keep those tapes going. Keep those auditions going. And we'll see you all next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.